In the old city of Calabar, where the moonlight touches the river like a lover's hand, there lived a girl named Amaka. She was known across the lands not only for her beauty but for the strange mark that glowed on her forehead whenever the moon was full. Some said she was cursed. Others believed she was chosen. Amaka lived with her grandmother, Mama Neka, in a small compound near the ancient baobab tree. Her parents had died mysteriously when she was a baby, and no one ever spoke of them. The townspeople whispered behind her back, but Mama Neka would say, "Let the moon carry its secrets. When the fire comes, it will reveal the truth." One night, the moon was at its fullest. Amaka had a dream, a forest burning in slow motion, and a man made of fire standing in the middle, his eyes like embers. The next morning, a stranger arrived in Calabar. His name was Ekene, a traveler from Benin City, tall and dark, with a voice that carried both thunder and honey. He came asking about the baobab tree, saying it had called to him in his dreams. When he saw Amaka, he stopped, stunned, as if something ancient had just awakened inside him. "Have we met before?" Ekene asked her. "No," Amaka replied, "but I saw you last night, in my dream." From that moment, something began to shift. The air grew warmer around them. The mark on Amaka's forehead glowed even in the daytime. Later that week, Mama Neka called Amaka aside. "There is a story I must tell you. One I've kept hidden all your life. Your mother, she fell in love with a man who was not human. A being of the moon. Their love brought you into this world, but it came with a price." "What kind of price?" Amaka's voice shook. "A curse," Mama Neka whispered. "You were marked by the moon, and unless the fire accepts you, your heart will never be free." That night, Amaka wandered into the forest behind their home, where the leaves whispered secrets and the ground seemed to breathe. Ekene followed her. The tension between them was heavy, like the air before a storm. They spoke little. Their eyes did most of the talking. At one point, Ekene reached for her hand, and the moment their fingers touched, flames burst gently from the ground around them, circling but not burning. "What are you?" Amaka asked. Ekene looked down. "I was born of fire. And I think I was sent to find you." The townspeople began to notice things. The baobab tree had started to bloom at night, its white flowers opening under moonlight. The river no longer ran in a straight line. And dreams became more vivid for everyone in the city. Meanwhile, Chief Okon, the high priest of the Moon Temple, sensed danger. He called a secret meeting with the elders. "The girl must be stopped," he declared. "She is a child of two realms. That kind of power does not belong among mortals." But someone at that meeting betrayed the secret, because the next morning, a piece of parchment was nailed to the market wall: "Moon child must die before the next eclipse." Amaka and Ekene went into hiding. While hiding in the hills of Obudu, Ekene revealed the truth of his past. He was not just fire, he was born during a volcanic eruption, the son of Ola, the goddess of the earth, and a fire spirit. He had always known he was meant to find someone like Amaka. "I've burned many things in my life, Amaka," he said, voice low. "But I've never been afraid of fire until I met you." She looked at him, her heart pounding. "And I've never wanted to be touched by fire until now." They leaned in, but just before their lips met, a chilling wind blew between them. The moon appeared, too early for sunset, shining down with a harsh blue light. And Amaka's mark began to burn. "We have to leave," she said. "Now." The wind grew violent in Obudu. Trees bowed and snapped. The moon, large and swollen in the sky, cast shadows that moved even when no one did. Amaka and Ekene ran, through thick foliage, across rivers glowing with strange blue light, until they reached a rocky clearing. There, the mark on Amaka's forehead blazed bright, then split into tiny symbols that floated around her face like fireflies. She fell to her knees, clutching her chest. Her body trembled. "It's happening," she gasped. "I feel something waking up inside me." Ekene knelt beside her, holding her hand. "Don't fight it. Let it speak." A moment later, her eyes glowed pure silver, and the ground beneath them cracked, vines surging up like snakes and forming a protective circle around them. But they weren't alone. From the shadows stepped Chief Ekene, now robed in the colors of night and moonlight. With him were 3 cloaked figures, the children of the eclipse. Their presence chilled the air. "You were warned," Chief Ekene said. "The union of flame and moon is forbidden." Ekene rose slowly. "Then let the fire decide." With a swift movement, he stretched out his hands, and flames exploded outward in a wide arc, licking at the edges of the circle. One of the cloaked followers raised his staff, and the fire stopped midair, trapped in a spinning crystal sphere. "You are not the only one with gifts, fire child," the man sneered. Then it began, blades clashed with vines, fire met ice, and moonlight struck like lightning. Amaka found herself locked in battle with one of the priest's disciples. She raised her hand, and from her palm burst a gust of wind so sharp it sliced a tree in half. Her power, control over air and sound, had awakened. She turned toward the attacker, whispered a word into the wind, and it carried like a roar, throwing the man backwards into the trees. Ekene held off 2 enemies at once, spinning and striking with fire that moved like a living thing. His eyes were gold and burning. His rage was beautiful. He shielded Amaka with walls of flame while whispering her name like a spell. They barely escaped. Later that night, inside a cave lit by glowing roots, Amaka and Ekene caught their breath. "They are going to keep coming," she said, bruised but unbowed. "Then we fight," Ekene replied. "But we need to know why they want you dead. There's more to this than just some old prophecy." Amaka reached into her bag and pulled out a torn piece of parchment Mama Neka had given her, a fragment of the moon scroll. As she read it aloud, the symbols on her skin flickered again, revealing part of a hidden message. "When moon and flame become one, the curse will break. But the balance must not be disturbed, or darkness shall rise before the sun." They looked at each other. "What curse?" Ekene asked. "Mine. And maybe, yours too," Amaka whispered. Back in Calabar, Chief Ekene stood before the moonlit temple altar. He poured goat's blood into a silver bowl, his eyes rolled back in trance. He spoke to something unseen. "The flame has awakened. The girl has chosen the fire. But we are not yet defeated." The shadow behind him paused. A voice spoke from it, old, female, full of malice. "Bring her to the eclipse. And if she resists, let her burn under the moon." Amaka and Ekene journeyed to Benin City, seeking answers in the temple of the fire spirit. Along the way, their bond grew. There were stolen glances, shared laughter, and silent moments when the world around them disappeared. One night, rain fell in sheets, and they took shelter beneath an abandoned shrine. The fire warmed them, and their hearts burned hotter than the flames. "I don't want to lose you," Amaka said, her voice soft. "Then don't," Ekene whispered, brushing a damp lock from her face. Their lips met, soft at first, then desperate. In that moment, time stopped. The moon peeked through the clouds. The mark on Amaka's head glowed faintly, but not with pain. With peace. As dawn approached, a scream echoed through the woods. They ran toward it and found a young girl, no more than 12, lying by the road. Her eyes were wide with fear. "They took my brother," she cried. "Men in moon masks, they are going to sacrifice him." Amaka and Ekene looked at each other. "This is it," he said. "It's not just about us anymore. Then let's finish what they started, she answered, rising to her feet. The road to Nsaka was wet and cold. Mist hung over the forest like a veil. Ekene carried the girl on his back while Amaka walked ahead, her hand pulsing with wind energy, ready for whatever trap might come. "We're close," she said, pointing toward a cluster of ancient statues ahead. "This is where the fire seers hid the Book of Balance." Ekene's eyes narrowed. "Then they'll be guarding it, or something worse will." The statues, weathered, cracked, overgrown with moss, suddenly glowed red. A voice whispered through the air. "Turn back, children of curse. The truth is heavy. And it burns." Amaka stepped forward anyway, her voice calm. "We are already burning." The earth split beneath their feet. They dropped into darkness, landing in a vast underground chamber. On the walls, symbols of fire and wind spiraled together. Ekene's fire mark glowed. So did Amaka's. A great stone door sat at the far end of the chamber, locked with two glowing handprints, one of flame, the other of air. Without a word, they stepped forward and placed their hands against the stone. A sudden rush of energy surged through the room. Flames danced in the air like birds. Wind spun in slow, controlled circles. Then, the fire and air collided. A brilliant light filled the chamber, white-hot, pure, ancient. When it cleared, they stood surrounded by flickering energy. Their eyes were both glowing now, and between them floated a small orb, spinning, humming. "What is this?" Ekene asked, breathless. "It's us," Amaka said slowly. "It's what we become when we are one." The orb trembled, then shot into the ceiling, burning a symbol onto the stone, a phoenix surrounded by a spiral of wind. From that moment, something had changed. They could feel each other's emotions, hear each other's thoughts. A shared power, hidden until now, had been unlocked. But there was no time to celebrate. As they emerged into the light, they saw smoke rising in the distance. Nsaka was under attack. They ran through the streets, dodging burning carts and screaming villagers. The sky was darkened by unnatural clouds. The children of the eclipse were here. And this time, they brought the high priest himself. Dressed in a long black robe, with a necklace of human teeth, he stood at the town square, raising a black staff that pulsed with moonlight. "Bring me the girl," he commanded. "Or your city burns." A woman stepped forward, an elder priestess of Nsaka. "You'll find no traitors here." The high priest smiled, wicked and slow. "Then I make one." He stabbed the staff into the ground. Black light shot through the soil. People began collapsing, paralyzed by an invisible force. Ekene and Amaka stepped into the square. "You want me?" Amaka called out. "Come take me." The high priest laughed. "With pleasure." He raised his hand and launched a blast of cold moonlight. Ekene stepped in front, his arms wide. The blast struck, but instead of shattering him, it melted into his body. His flame surged tenfold. Amaka reached for him, and their hands met. The moment their palms touched, the shared power ignited. A ring of white fire and air exploded outward, blasting away the black energy and sending the high priest flying across the square. The villagers gasped. From the ashes, Ekene and Amaka rose, surrounded by a fusion of wind and flame that shimmered like starlight. The high priest coughed, blood dripping from his mouth. He looked up and whispered, "The flame wind. It's real." Then he vanished in a burst of shadow. Later that night, the surviving villagers treated Ekene and Amaka like gods. But the old priestess put them aside. "There is more to this curse," she said. "You are not the first to bear these powers. But the last ones, they destroyed each other." "We are not them," Amaka replied. "No, the priestess whispered. But you carry their blood. She handed them a worn book, written in an old dialect neither of them understood. At the last page was a sketch of two lovers, one wrapped in fire, the other in air. They were smiling. But behind them stood a shadow with no face. The wind howled through the empty ruins outside Nsaka. Amaka sat cross-legged beside a small fire, the flames dancing to Ekene's silent command. Her fingers ran slowly across the old book the priestess had given them. This page, she whispered. It's written in Igbo, but not like how we speak it now. It's older. Ekene looked up. Can you read it? Pieces. There's a word that repeats again and again. Ekwensu. Ekene's jaw tightened. That name carried weight. The stories his grandfather used to tell him of Ekwensu, the spirit of chaos and war, once imprisoned by twin children of flame and air. You don't think that's who the high priest serves? I think, Amaka looked up, her eyes full of worry, I think he is trying to become Ekwensu. Flashes of blood. Fire spiraling into darkness. Ekene, chained to a pillar. Her own hand, raised against him. No, she cried, falling back. Ekene caught her. What did you see? She looked at him, shaken. A future we must not reach. That night, as they tried to rest in a nearby cave, they were ambushed. Figures in silver masks surrounded them, followers of the moon's curse, elite warriors of the high priest. Each one had been gifted a piece of the moon's power, icy breath, shadow blades, and teleportation. Ekene stood tall, his body lit with orange flames. Amaka's arms stretched wide, wind whipping like invisible blades around her. Don't hold back, Ekene growled. I wasn't planning to, Amaka smirked. They clashed, fire and air against shadow and ice. Ekene's flames melted the ground beneath their feet. Amaka launched herself into the air, spiraling with wind as sharp as daggers. But the masked ones were fast, too fast. Until Amaka reached for Ekene midair. Their powers touched. A surge of white light erupted from them, fire infused with air, spiraling like a tornado of flames. The energy lashed out in every direction, knocking all the enemies unconscious in seconds. But the last warrior, taller than the rest, stood firm. So it's true, he said, removing his mask. The flame wind lives. He was a young man, no older than Ekene, with silver eyes and a deep scar across his neck. My name is Obiora, he said calmly. I was born under the moon, but I serve the truth. Ekene lowered his flame just slightly. Why are you helping us? Obiora's smile was sad. Because the high priest fears what you are. And I want to know why. Obiora led them to an ancient mirror buried in a cave. When they touched it together, it shimmered and showed a vision from long ago. Two young lovers, one of fire, one of wind, facing a great shadow. They combined their powers and won, but the victory was short-lived. The fire consumed them both. And from their ashes, Ekwensu was born. Amaka stepped back from the mirror. We're not just cursed, she said. We are reincarnated. Ekene nodded, fire flickering from his eyes. Then this time, we finish it. For good. Far away, deep in the mountains of Mambila Plateau, the high priest knelt before a pool of moonlight. A voice spoke to him from the glowing water. They are waking up. Their bond is growing. Then what should I do? The priest asked, trembling. Break them. Before the eclipse. Before they remember everything. He rose, his eyes full of madness. As you command, Ekwensu. The stars above Arachuku shimmered unnaturally, twisted by the approaching lunar eclipse. The sky was a deep violet, thick with tension. Every bird had fallen silent. Every stream had gone still. Amaka's breath was shallow as she stood on the cliff's edge, watching the moon shift, trembling. It's almost time. Ekene walked beside her, his fingers crackling faintly with fire. This is where the final sail lies. Beneath this cliff, under the temple of Ekene. Behind them, Obiora knelt, tracing symbols into the dirt with charcoal. Once the eclipse is complete, he said, the high priest will be unstoppable. He'll become more than a man. He'll be the moon's chosen wrath. Then we'll stop him before it finishes, Amaka replied. Ekene held her hand, fire flickering between their palms. Together. Always. They jumped. The cave beneath the cliff was enormous. Pillars of stone twisted like petrified lightning. A distant chant echoed through the halls, dozens of voices, chanting in unison. The trio moved fast through winding tunnels, dodging crumbling stones and glowing sigils pulsing with moonlight. The deeper they went, the more warped the air felt, thicker, colder, as if touched by death. They finally reached a circular chamber. Above, the moonlight beamed through a jagged hole in the ceiling. In the center stood the high priest, arms stretched wide. His body had changed. His once human flesh was now streaked with silvery veins. His eyes glowed like stars. His voice echoed like thunder. You're too late. Amaka stepped forward. You stole what doesn't belong to you. No, the priest said, smiling. I merely awakened what you feared inside yourselves. He raised his hands, and the ground split open. From the shadows, his 4 elite guardians emerged. Each one bore the mark of the moon, one wielded pure shadow, another controlled ice, a third twisted time around herself, and the fourth could summon illusions that looked, spoke, and fought like real people. Your love will fail you, the priest whispered. Because love is the greatest weakness of all. Obiora faced the illusion wielder first. She created copies of Ekene and Amaka, each one twisted, mocking, laughing at their weaknesses. You think you're chosen, the fake Amaka snarled at him. You're a dog chasing gods. But Obiora wasn't shaken. He summoned a silver chain from his belt, gifted by the original moon priestess, and wrapped it around the illusion, trapping it in a net of truth. It vanished in a scream. Amaka took on the ice wielder. The cave chilled with every breath, frost crawling across her skin. Her wind faltered at first, but then she remembered the breath, the secret her mother once taught her. She inhaled deeply, calling the spirit of the wind from inside her bones, then unleashed it in a scream that shattered the ice like glass. Her opponent was thrown into a pillar and never rose again. Ekene burned through the shadow wielder, literally. But the time manipulator slowed him down. Every move he made, she twisted, forcing him to relive the same attack again and again. He fell to his knees. Until Amaka grabbed his shoulder. Their powers linked again, fire and wind spiraled, and time snapped. The manipulator screamed as their combined energy consumed her, ending the loop. They stood, bloodied but victorious. But the high priest laughed. Cute. You've defeated children. Now face the god you fear. He raised his arms, and the moon eclipsed. Total darkness. For a moment, neither Amaka nor Ekene could move. Their powers dimmed. Their breath caught. It was as if every joy, every memory of hope, had been stolen. This is the world under my rule, the priest said, floating above them. No fire. No wind. Only obedience. But then, faintly, Amaka whispered, I still feel you. Ekene took her hand. I still burn for you. Their bond reignited, and in a burst of flame and air, they surged forward. Amaka attacked from above, riding wind like wings. Ekene surged from below, throwing blasts of flame upward. The high priest blocked every hit, his body coated in a layer of living moonstone. He moved impossibly fast. Each strike felt like thunder. Amaka was thrown across the room, blood trailing from her mouth. Ekene's fire dimmed as he was slammed into a pillar. "You are nothing without the curse," the priest bellowed. "No," Amaka gasped, standing again. "We are everything because of it." She flew forward again, but the priest caught her midair. He crushed her ribs. "I'll end you first." But before he could, Ekene screamed, and his flames went white. The flame was pure, divine, almost blinding. He grabbed the priest from behind, fire searing through the moonstone armor. The priest shrieked and tossed Amaka aside. Ekene held him tight, burning everything around him. "Now, Amaka," he roared. "Use our bond." Amaka, barely able to stand, focused every last breath into her power. The wind around her formed into a spear of air, spinning faster and faster. She threw it. It pierced the high priest's chest. He screamed, his body splitting apart with blinding light, and exploded into dust. Silence. The eclipse ended. The light returned. Amaka ran toward the fire. Ekene. Ekene. He lay on the ground, unmoving. His body burned, skin cracked, eyes closed, but a peaceful smile on his lips. "I had to hold him," he whispered faintly. "I had to keep him from escaping." She cradled him, wind swirling softly around them both. "You're going to be okay. We'll heal you." "No," he said, gently. "This was my purpose. To give you the world we dreamed of." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "We were supposed to see it together." "We will," he said with a soft smile. "Every time you breathe, I'll be there." His flame flickered once more, then went out. A year later, Amaka stood in a peaceful village outside Umuahia, wearing white, a red scarf wrapped around her wrist, the same one Ekene used to wear in his training. Children gathered around her as she told the story of two lovers cursed by the moon, but saved by the fire of their bond. "Did he really die, Auntie Amaka?" one child asked. She smiled softly. "He became part of the wind and fire. He's everywhere now." Behind her, the sky was clear. And somewhere, in the rustle of the trees and the warmth of the sun, a soft flame still danced.